Have you ever been sitting with your adult child, maybe during what should have been a pleasant visit, and suddenly felt that familiar knot in your stomach? That moment when they say something that makes you question whether you're overreacting or if what just happened actually crossed a line. You tell yourself they're just stressed, or maybe they didn't mean it that way. After all, this is your child, the one you raised, the one you'd do anything for. But deep down, something doesn't feel right. I want to talk to you about something that many parents are experiencing but rarely discuss openly. Sometimes the people we love most, including our own children, can say things that aren't just hurtful in the moment. They're revealing something deeper, something that shows the relationship has become unbalanced and potentially harmful to your well-being. This isn't about normal family disagreements or the occasional harsh word said in frustration. We all have those moments. I'm talking about patterns, about words and attitudes that consistently make you feel small, guilty, or walking on eggshells in your own family. This conversation isn't about giving up on your children or cutting ties. It's about recognizing when you need to protect yourself and having the courage to set boundaries, even with family members who seem to have forgotten how to treat you with basic respect and kindness. Let me ask you something that might hit close to home. Have you ever had your son or daughter look at you with frustration and say something like, "You just don't get it, do you?" Not about a specific situation, but about you as a person, as if everything you think or say is automatically wrong or outdated. That dismissive tone, that look that makes you feel like you're bothering them just by existing. It's different from healthy disagreement. It's different from them having their own opinions. There's a contempt there that shouldn't exist between people who love each other. When someone consistently makes you feel stupid or out of touch, they're not just expressing their independence, they're tearing down your sense of worth. So let's talk about some specific things you might be hearing, words that should make you pause and really think about what's happening in your relationship. The first one might surprise you because it sounds almost reasonable at first. It's when they say, "I'm an adult now, so you need to back off." Now, of course they're adults, and of course they get to make their own choices. You know that. You respect that. But listen to how it's said and when it's said. Is this phrase used to establish healthy independence, or is it used to shut down any input from you whatsoever? Is it said with respect, or is it thrown at you like a weapon every time you express concern, offer help, or even just ask how they're doing? There's a difference between setting boundaries and building walls. When your adult child uses their independence as a reason to dismiss everything you say, to refuse any guidance, or to make you feel like caring about them is somehow wrong, that's not maturity, that's rejection. You spent decades caring for this person, and caring doesn't just stop because they turned 18 or 25 or 30. A healthy adult child can maintain their independence while still valuing your perspective. They can make their own decisions while still appreciating your experience. But when every conversation feels like you're being told to mind your own business, when your role has been reduced to writing checks or babysitting grandchildren but never actually being heard, that's not a balanced relationship. The second phrase to watch for is more subtle, but it's equally damaging. It's when they say, "That's just how you remember it." This one is particularly painful because it makes you question your own memory, your own experience of events. Maybe you're talking about something from their childhood, or maybe you're discussing something that happened recently. But instead of having a normal conversation about different perspectives, they dismiss your memory entirely. They might say things like, "You always exaggerate," or "That's not what happened at all," or "You're remembering it wrong again." And suddenly you're not just having a disagreement about facts. You're being told that your mind, your memory, your perception of reality isn't trustworthy. This is especially cruel because as we get older, many of us already worry about our mental sharpness. We're already sensitive about memory issues or cognitive changes. When your own child exploits that vulnerability, when they use your natural concerns against you, it's not just hurtful, it's manipulative. Your memories matter. Your experience of events is valid. Even if details get fuzzy over time, even if perspectives differ, your feelings about what happened are real. No one, not even your child, has the right to tell you that your reality doesn't count. If they consistently make you feel like you can't trust your own mind, that's not love, that's control. Now, here's a phrase that might sound familiar, and it often comes up during arguments or tense conversations. They'll say, "You're being too sensitive." Or maybe, "You take everything so personally." It's their way of shutting down your emotional response to how they're treating you. Instead of acknowledging that they might have said something hurtful, instead of taking responsibility for their words or actions, they turn it back on you. They make it your fault for feeling hurt. But let me tell you something important. Being sensitive isn't a character flaw. Having feelings about how you're treated isn't a weakness. You've lived long enough to know the difference between constructive criticism and plain old meanness. You can tell when someone is speaking to you with love versus speaking to you with irritation or disdain. And when your child consistently tells you that your emotional responses are wrong, they're not helping you grow or toughen up. They're teaching you to ignore your instincts, to doubt your feelings, and to accept treatment that you shouldn't accept. Your sensitivity is often your wisdom. It's your heart telling you that something isn't right. Don't let anyone, even your own child, convince you to ignore that inner voice that's trying to protect you. Another phrase that reveals a troubling dynamic is this: "You owe me this much." It might not be said exactly those words, but the sentiment is clear. Maybe they're asking for money, time, help with their problems, or constant emotional support. And when you hesitate, when you express any reluctance or set any limits, they remind you of everything they've been through, everything you supposedly did wrong, or everything you should feel guilty about. They might say things like, "After everything that happened growing up," or "Considering what I had to deal with," or "You owe me better than this." And suddenly you're not in a conversation about mutual support or family love. You're in a transaction where your past parenting is being held against you like a debt that can never be fully paid. This is exhausting and unfair. Yes, maybe you made mistakes. All parents do. But parenting isn't a contract where your child gets to bill you for perceived damages for the rest of your life. Love isn't something you earn through constant payment of guilt and resources. If your relationship with your child feels like you're always paying for past mistakes while getting little respect or appreciation in return, that's not family. That's emotional extortion. Here's one that might be particularly painful to hear. "I turned out fine despite you, not because of you." This phrase is designed to completely erase your positive contribution to their life while highlighting every perceived failure. It suggests that anything good about them happened in spite of your parenting, not because of it. It's a complete rejection of your role in their development, your love, your sacrifices, and your efforts. When someone says this, they're not just expressing disappointment or working through issues from the past. They're attempting to rewrite history in a way that removes any credit you might deserve while maintaining all the blame you might carry. It's a particularly cruel way to handle family conflicts because it makes reconciliation almost impossible. How do you have a healthy relationship with someone who believes you contributed nothing positive to their life? You raised this person. You were there for midnight feedings, scraped knees, school problems, heartbreaks, celebrations, and countless ordinary moments that make up a childhood. Even if you weren't perfect, even if there were difficulties, to have all of that dismissed with one sentence is devastating. And it's usually not even true. It's said in anger or as a way to hurt you, but it reveals someone who's willing to cause you deep pain to make a point. But perhaps the most telling phrase of all is this: I don't have time for this. Not said about a specific conversation or task, but said about your feelings, your concerns, your needs, or sometimes about you as a person. When your child consistently treats your emotions like an inconvenience, when your problems are always less important than theirs, when your need for connection or communication is seen as a burden, you're not in a reciprocal relationship anymore. This phrase often comes up when you try to address issues in the relationship, when you express hurt about how you've been treated, or when you simply want to spend time together. Instead of engaging with you as a person who matters, they dismiss you as someone who's taking up their valuable time. But here's what I want you to remember. Your time is valuable too. Your feelings matter too. Your need for connection and respect is just as legitimate as theirs. If someone consistently treats you like you're not worth their time, you need to ask yourself why you're making them such a priority in yours. This doesn't mean you stop loving them, but it might mean you stop chasing after their attention and approval. Now, I know this has been difficult to hear. Maybe you've recognized your own experiences in these examples. Maybe you've been making excuses for treatment that you now realize you shouldn't have to tolerate. That recognition is the first step toward protecting yourself and reclaiming your peace of mind. You don't have to accept disrespect from anyone, including family members. You don't have to tolerate being dismissed, manipulated, or made to feel small. You have spent decades building your life, contributing to your family, and caring for others. This chapter of your life should be about finding joy, peace, and meaningful connections with people who value you. Setting boundaries doesn't make you a bad parent. Protecting your emotional well-being doesn't make you selfish. And sometimes, stepping back from a toxic dynamic is the most loving thing you can do, both for yourself and for the other person. It shows them that their behavior has consequences and that relationships require mutual respect to survive. You might worry that setting boundaries will damage your relationship with your child, but I want you to consider this. Is the relationship actually healthy right now? Are you genuinely enjoying their company, or are you constantly walking on eggshells? Do you feel loved and appreciated, or do you feel used and taken for granted? Sometimes the fear of losing a relationship prevents us from acknowledging that the relationship is already broken. Your worth isn't determined by how much criticism you can absorb or how much disrespect you can tolerate. Your value as a person, as a parent, and as a human being exists regardless of how others treat you. But you have to believe that yourself. You have to be willing to stand up for yourself, even when it's scary, even when it goes against everything you thought family was supposed to be. This phase of your life is precious. These years are meant to be lived with dignity, surrounded by people who appreciate you, engaged in activities that bring you joy. You don't have time to waste on relationships that consistently make you feel bad about yourself. You don't have energy to spare on people who drain you emotionally while giving little back. If you've heard yourself in this conversation today, if these examples sound familiar, I want you to know that you're not alone. Many parents struggle with these issues, but few talk about them openly. There's often shame around admitting that your relationship with your child isn't what you hoped it would be, but recognizing the problem is the first step towards solving it. You have the right to expect kindness from your family members. You have the right to be heard when you speak. You have the right to have your feelings acknowledged and respected. And you have the right to step away from situations and people that consistently fail to meet these basic standards of human decency. This doesn't mean you stop loving your child. It doesn't mean you give up hope that things might improve, but it does mean you stop sacrificing your own well-being for the sake of maintaining a relationship that isn't actually working. Sometimes love means protecting yourself. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to accept unacceptable behavior. Your peace of mind matters, your happiness matters, your dignity matters, and anyone who truly loves you will want to see you treated with respect, including by themselves. If they can't or won't do that, then you have every right to limit their access to your emotional energy and your physical presence until they can. You've spent a lifetime taking care of others. Now it's time to take care of yourself. You've earned the right to surround yourself with positivity, respect, and genuine affection. Don't settle for less just because it's coming from family. Family should treat you better, not worse, than everyone else. If this message has resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you found this helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. We're here to have honest conversations about the challenges and opportunities that come with this stage of life. Together, we can support each other in living with dignity, joy, and self-respect. Remember, you are valuable, you are worthy of respect, and you have the power to create the peaceful, fulfilling life you deserve. Stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.